And I know some people are catching this from home. While I'm talking, I'm going to take this off, so I know it's hard to understand, which I've also asked, told Sandy, please don't worry about a mask so we can better understand her. This is a great opportunity to really work on your business, build your business a plan for this year, and we are super fortunate to have with us today Sandy Borman, one of the national trainers, who is going to guide us to really finding a path to success this year. So Sandy, take it away.
Well, I'm excited to be here. I was just telling Gary I was here about, I guess it must be 3.5, 4 years ago, because it was before I was with Better Homes and Gardens. And I love this area. It's beautiful. So all of you live in at least close by, somewhat close by? Okay.
No.
South as we taught out, we had people from all over the place. So can you guys hear me okay? I'm at home.
Yes.
You're good? All right, awesome. Would you mind introducing yourselves for those of you that are joining us from home, so I know who you are?
I'm Mari Johnson.
Mari, okay.
Yeah.
Hi, this is Isabel Aguilar.
Isabella, Mari, okay.
This is Haley checking in.
Hi, Trudy Ramos.
Trudy.
Trudy,
up in
okay.
UK.
Awesome.
Hi, Trudy.
Well, I'd love for each of you to go around the room and introduce yourself, because I think we've got a few people that are newer, so it'd be nice for you all to know each other as well.
Alejandro, yes.
Alejandra?
Eric Rothfeld, and I'm just back in the corner here.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. Raymond Jimmy.
Raymond.
Yes.
I'm Nikki.
Nikki, hi. Anna.
I'm Sarah Brown. I'm Heather's guest.
Awesome. Well, welcome.
Nice to meet everybody.
Thank you. I want to call you Heather. I don't like Heather. No, we already have a Heather. We don't need 2 Heathers, right? One's enough. Right. So who has actually already put together a business plan for 2022? Has anyone done that yet?
Mm-mm.
No. Okay. Do you have goals for 2022 yet?
Mhm.
Raise your hand if you have goals then. Okay. For those of you that have goals already, I want you to write down the number at the bottom of your first page that you want to make in 2022. Be gross, GCI, take home, whatever you choose is that number. But what is it that you want to actually do here? It's going to help us later as we get into the business plan. Who had their best 2022 ever? Did anybody have their best year in real estate ever? Last year? Heather? Anybody else? No? Who wants to have their best year ever this year then? One person, hey? 3. We're good. Awesome. Having a business plan in place really does help you. It guides you to what you need to get done, right? It breaks it down into easy steps, so you know every single day what it is that you need to do in order to achieve your goals. So let's go ahead and get started. First of all, I'll do a quick intro. I'm Sandy Borman, for those of you that may not have met me before. I've been training for Better Homes and Gardens for about 2 years now. And I have a brokerage background. I was a broker owner like Gary for another national franchise for about 12 years. And I was also an agent. I had a team. I've done a little bit of everything. I worked in luxury, sold farms and ranches. So now we're in the beach area in Florida. So we've sold beach places. So a good background to be able to kind of guide you guys through the processes today. As it says here, we're going to do something a little bit fun to get started. Those of you at home also have to participate, okay?
Mhm.
So I want you to go around the room and introduce yourself without using the word realtor or real estate, to say what it is that you do. I'll make Heather start first, so she's already had experience with this, okay? Go ahead, Heather. She can remember what she said earlier.
Well, I wanted to come up with something better than what I said earlier. Well, what I said earlier was I help people buy and sell homes.
I help people buy and sell homes, okay?
Can you repeat that?
Can it be one word? It doesn't have to be a sentence.
I guess I will say, will guide you to buy or find.
So they're guide. Okay.
Well, I'm a fitness instructor and a property manager, so I help people reach their fitness goals as well as have a good time and help folks find their temporary home.
The temporary home, since you
I
do
shouldn't say
rentals, right?
temporary, actually, because we really never want them to leave, but.
They're non-permanent homes.
Yeah, I was trying to come up with
Non-permanent.
something.
Well, I'm a fix-it guy. I like challenges
Okay,
and I like doing things that help other people. And to balance that, I'm really enjoying my own life, which involves travel, and just things that are pleasing to me, which I find really important.
I help people build wealth. Oh, I like that. It's good. Help people build wealth. Raymond.
Um, Um, I help people move into their. I help people move into their house, or sorry, their home, not just their house.
Their home, you help people move into a home, not just a house. Okay,
I'm still a student. but
okay.
I'm a wedding and event florist. So what I told my clients is that I'll bring your Pinterest dreams into reality. So I'm going to tweak that to, I'll bring your Zillow dreams into reality. I'm still playing.
Don't use Zillow. Don't use Zillow. Okay. She said she'll bring their Zillow dreams into reality. All right, so at home, we've got, does everybody have their name up? Ari,
Mari.
Mari. I know they're like, don't look.
I was busy texting Heather there. I like to help people find the perfect place for their life to be lived out, the setting
Okay,
for their life to happen.
all right, you gotta help me, because I don't have my glasses on, so I can't read.
Okay, there's
Yeah.
Isabella.
Isabella, thank you.
Yeah, I help people make their dreams come true.
I knew somebody would say that today. I almost hear that almost always, because that's truly why most of us get in real estate, right?
Yeah.
Sharing that.
Trudy.
Trudy,
I like to consider myself a lifestyle ambassador.
lifestyle master. Ooh, I like that.
Nice.
Now, let's see, Rachel or Haley, are you gonna,
Those are both admin.
they're both admin, okay. They can still say something if
Yeah.
they wanted to, right? All right. So we're gonna go ahead and get started with business planning, like, let's get going. So what I wanna ask you right now is, as a realtor, what value do you bring to the table for your clients? You're wondering why we're talking about this when we're discussing business planning, right? There's a method behind our madness, I promise. What value do you bring customers? You guys can just shout it out. Knowledge,
Honesty.
honesty,
Negotiation skills.
negotiation. That's a big one, isn't it? Especially in today's market, right?
Connections.
Connections, okay. Anybody else? I'm hearing.
Hmm?
Well,
What value?
Market knowledge.
varies.
Experience.
Yeah, help them with transitions.
Transitions. I like that. I like that. And the reason we're talking about this is because we're going to talk a little bit about the difference between an entrepreneur and a business person and a salesperson. Okay. So who could read the quote for me on the screen here? Anybody want to volunteer?
Heather.
I work in real estate and my business affords me an abundant, full and balanced life.
So how do you all feel about that quote right now? You feel like that embodies yourself right now or not?
Yes.
Yes? Okay.
That's my goal for this year is to balance.
The balance. This market, it's not been easy, has it, to find that balance all the time. If you've got somebody that needs to go, they've got to go now, right? Because it's so competitive out there that if you don't get them in the house and show it to them right away, it's gone, right? Are you still seeing that here in this market? So business owners versus salespeople. First of all, I wanted to find out, what do you guys think of when you hear the word entrepreneur? What's the very first word that comes to mind?
Independence.
Innovative? Mhm, absolutely.
Independence.
I'm sorry,
To be independent.
independent? Yes, definitely.
Someone who does everything for the company.
Who does everything for the company?
CEO to janitor.
Okay. Okay. Anybody else?
Creative thinker?
They are usually fairly creative, aren't they?
Creative.
Absolutely. How does an entrepreneur who runs a business think and act differently from a salesperson?
The self-propelled.
That is absolutely the truth, isn't it?
Mm-hmm,
They don't need anybody telling them what to do, right?
mm-hmm.
Got the gumption to do it themselves. Absolutely.
Planning, there's planning involved.
Mhm. And they're not afraid to get out and try something new, are they? As an entrepreneur, they're willing to just go out and do it. So if you think about it, you're all entrepreneurs, really, right? You took the leap getting into real estate. Don't have an hourly wage coming in anymore for most of you, probably. And that's a scary thing to do when you very first get into this business, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I know I had never been in a job where I relied solely on commissions before I got into real estate, so it was a jump, right? So I want you right now to think about somebody in real estate who is a leader. It could be someone in your office, it could be somebody nationally, I don't care. But what sets them apart from other people, either in your local market here or in the industry?
You don't listen to naysayers.
They don't listen to naysayers.
Now there's an opportunity.
Every encounter is an opportunity. That is absolutely true.
They bring a certain kind of spirituality to their business practices.
Spirituality to their business practices, okay?
They set themselves apart from the competition.
Definitely, they're really good at that, aren't they? And again, they're not afraid just to jump in and do something, right? They're the ones that are risk takers, basically. And so what do you need to do? Think about the person that you just thought of. What do you need to do in your own business to be more like that person you just thought of? You can write that down, keep it for food for thought, whatever you'd like to do. Because maybe that's something you should strive for in your own business. And this one, I'm going to stand back a little bit out of the way because I want you guys to be able to see this graph. Are you all able to read that clearly? Okay. So this is why business planning matters. At the very top, we have a curve and it's called at-risk profitability. And so as you can see there, this is an agent's revenue, okay? And this is, I don't have the page in your workbooks on this.
It's page 7.
Page 7, thank you. But this agent, for a lot of time, they're not making enough to cover their expenses, as you can see on this curve, right? Then we have in the middle of the page here, variable profitability. Revenue and expense above expenses every month, but just barely in some months, right? They're just scraping by. And then the very bottom, we have predictable profitability. And so they are consistently above revenue every single month. They're making the most they can make. So if you had to choose a model that you would like to follow, which one would it be?
Predictable.
Predictable, right? But most of us in real estate don't have that type of business, do we? Most of the time we have those months where we're lucky to make bills sometimes, right? And then we have some months where we make 4 times that. But it's that up and down cycle, right? Why is that? Why do we not have consistent income?
Consistent effort. Consistent
Because we're not salaried.
time.
I wish that was it, but that's not it. I like where you're going at. You said consistent efforts, right? What is that in real estate? What is consistent effort? Bingo, absolutely. It's not on our calendar. Raise your hand if you have prospecting on your calendar every single day of the week. Okay, Raymond, you get the prize for today. It's not exciting, I promise, but it's a little something fun. Prospecting every single day is really our business. That is what we're in the business of, right? As a real estate broker, agent, if we're not prospecting, our business is dying, right? And so we have something in the brand called the 100-day effect. Has anyone heard of that before? Okay. I'm gonna say in a normal market, this is not a normal market right now, okay? In a normal market, from the time that we meet somebody or a lead online until the time it closes, the average is about 100 days for everything to happen. I was telling them earlier up in the Santa Rosa office that we're probably more in that 40 to 50 day time frame right
Unless
now,
it's a
right?
buyer.
Unless it's a cash buyer.
Well,
Well, and
some
yes.
buyers can't find anything, so it's really long.
It can be longer than 100 to get
Yeah.
that for some of our buyers, right? Because especially if they're strapped, right? If they're in a certain income level, it's almost nearly impossible, at least in our market. For like a first-time home buyer, a VA buyer, anybody to find something before someone else snatches it up and pays more cash for it, right? And so it's a really competitive market. So something that we need to know for our own business is when you're working with a client, what is that average time for your business? Because everybody operates differently, right? Some of you may be really, really good at lead conversion. And you might get them in the door, get them under contract and close. Your cycle may be 45 or 50 days. Some of you may work with a lot of cash buyers. If you get a cash buyer, you can close in as little as a week, right? If they don't, I mean, in our market, they're not even doing inspections. They're not doing appraisals. That's what's going on here. But they're waiving everything right now just to get the property. We've got one closing tomorrow in St. Petersburg. It's not a big house. It was a little house, $250,000. And it has issues. I know it has issues. And they chose not to do anything on that house because it was the best thing they could find for that price. And they're gonna go in and do what they have to do to make it livable, right? And so knowing our numbers, knowing our market is so essential as we start putting our business plan together. Next, we talk about building your business and designing your plan. And this is going to be a little bit different for each of us, wouldn't you think? Because everyone has a different plan for their business. Now, you said you're property management, right?
Yeah.
So she's going to have a very different plan than some Raymond that's probably selling. Are you selling residential, Raymond?
Well, I haven't sold anything yet, but.
You're going to that.
Yes.
You will. And so your path to get there is going to be different, right? But some of the things that have to be a part of our business are what they show here, right? Social responsibility, trust, reliability, transparency, honesty, integrity, commitment, connection. What do you think is the most important of those elements in our market right now? Just because of the competitiveness in our market today.
Trust.
Integrity and trust. And honesty, I think it's kind of-
Reliability.
It could be a couple of them, right?
Yeah.
Reliability is good, but transparency, I think, is huge right now. You've got to be upfront with buyers and sellers right now. Or else,
Anybody's time.
yeah, exactly. And then I think we have to be super committed to them as well, right? If we're not going to get anything closed for anybody in this market. In our brand, we do something called mission, vision, values. And so, does anyone know what a mission statement is? Can you share what that is?
It's an idea that you use to keep the company on track. It has the end goals in mind and the steps taken to get there.
Okay. What is the difference between that and a vision then?
Vision, I think you have more fun with. I think that mission statements sometimes can be a little bit cut and dry. And a vision, you can get kind of messy with it. You can play with it.
I want you to think about your vision as your 5-year goals, okay? Your vision is where do I want to take my business someday? And my mission is how I'm going to get there, okay? What are the steps I have to do on a daily basis to hit that vision someday? $1 million producer, right? Or own your own company, whatever that might be. Does that make sense?
Stick to the plan, get the end result.
Absolutely, Sarah. Do any of you have a mission statement for your business right now or a vision statement? Heather? Gary? I want to hear Gary's. Did Randy give you a heads up?
No,
No, oh, goodness, goodness. So what is your vision statement for the company?
a vision,
Mhm.
a vision is in looking forward. Our vision is growth.
Growth, okay. Okay. What's your mission statement?
Mission statement is we're a group of real estate professionals who help our clients with transitions in their lives and their work and transitions in their lives.
Okay, good. Heather.
Tell you,
Heather's looking, we'll have her say it in a second.
I wrote this in 2019, so it's
Oh, wow.
time to look at it again.
Okay,
Which one first?
mission first.
My mission, I have Heather Thurber real estate is an optimistic, ideal-driven company aimed at positively impacting the real estate industry in California by partnering with clients, realtors, service providers, being recognized locally as an expert and influencer, and to provide exceptional service with integrity while helping. And
Oh my goodness.
By yourself
Phew, that long.
and have fun.
Okay. Were you guys able to hear that okay?
Yes.
Yes, okay, thank you. That's a long mission statement.
Yes.
I like it, but we might wanna,
I'm glad since I wrote it.
so what about the vision statement?
To positively affect change in people's lives through integrity, influence, and exceptional service.
That's good. The vision statement should be clear and succinct, okay? Something that's very easy for other people to understand. I want to show you a few here. You've got these in your workbook on page 12, so you don't have to write these down. But there are a couple in here that I think, wow, they like hit it out of the ballpark on their mission statement. Amazon's vision statement.
Oh, Amazon.
But remember, this is when they started, you guys, and it has not changed.
Oh, that's cool.
Our vision is to be the Earth's most customer-centric company, to build a place where people can come to find and discover anything they might want to buy online.
Well, they did it.
You think they hit that?
Yeah.
They hit it out of the ballpark, didn't they?
Darn Amazon.
Spotify, we were laughing about this one a little earlier today. Give people access to all the music they want all the time. But I love this, in a completely legal and accessible way. You think they accomplished their mission? Okay. There's a lot of companies out there that aren't doing it legally, right? Yeah, yeah.
Napster.
If you read through those in your workbook, what is your favorite mission statement of all those? I won't read every single one individually. Which one?
Lift.
The lift vision, our mission, yes. Ride by ride, we're changing the world, the way our world works. We imagine a world where cities feel small again, where transportation and tech bring people together instead of apart. We see the future is community driven and it's like. What was it about that stood out to you?
The community.
The community? And I know earlier someone actually liked that quote as well when we were up in Santa Rosa. And they liked it because it was an imagining. It made you think a little bit, right? When you're looking at that mission statement. So think right now about a couple of words that you might be able to incorporate into your own mission statement. You don't ever have to reinvent a wheel, right? There's a lot of examples in the world out there. You just have to incorporate the elements that fit who you are as a person, right? Your personality, your goals. And then we're going to talk a little bit more about attitudes of a real estate business leader. We have a whole class, just so you know, for those of you that might be newer, on value proposition, agent value proposition. I have to encourage you to take that if you haven't, just because it walks you through putting every single step that we just talked about together, okay? So the attitudes of a real estate business leader are, it's a business and my goal as an entrepreneur. 2 is today's activities will impact all of my tomorrow. But I like number 3. Can someone read number 3 for me?
Failing to plan is planning to fail.
That's the whole basis of this class, right? That's why we're here today. So that you have a plan in place to get where you want to go. Because if you don't know where you're going, how are you going to get there, right? Not really old line. So let's get into some practice and tools. I'm gonna go ahead and load the planning sheets, the Excel planning sheets now. For those of you at home, you might want to go ahead and open up your Excel documents, okay, right now? That's what we're gonna walk through. Did you all get those in an email?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
You're talking about the one that says where your business expenses, your personal expenses, is that?
With the different tabs at the bottom, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna sit for a minute here just because it's a little easier to kind of look through this and walk through it. So the very first thing that you all want to go into, if you have this, is your budget. And as you can see here, it goes through everything from professional development, marketing, to technology, administration. It even has team expenses. And then at the bottom of the page, it has personal So all of your personal expenses. What we suggest if you use something like QuickBooks, you just take the categories and put the total from your QuickBooks versus doing the line by line in here. Just add the totals of the different things into the spreadsheet so that you can really identify what it is.
Hmm.
And the other thing I wanted to highlight on this question. No? Okay. The other thing I want to highlight is that anything in blue is something that you can change. Okay, it's completely editable. And anything that you'll see in a couple of the sheets in the feature, anything that's red, they give you general numbers from Realogy. So like knowing different conversion rates, things like that, they're gonna be in red. So if you know your own numbers, you'll put those in, but if you don't know your own numbers, you can use those as a general guideline, okay? So a few things I wanna highlight. The first thing I wanted to go through is marketing. And the reason I wanna talk about marketing is because a lot of us, especially, you know, we've got Raymond that's newer in real estate right now. What percent do you think might be a good idea for you to try and spend on marketing? Any idea? Just off the top of your head?
Definitely, I think probably about 3/4 of it, if not more.
Okay.
Just because we're in the age of computers and everything.
Okay.
The way I think about it is, I mean, I can go out the cold call, which I'm pretty into doing. However, I'm only talking to one person at a time, or if I do something on social media, that you have to hundreds.
So let me ask you this, Raymond. Can you do things on social media that don't cost money?
Yes.
I am so glad I talked with you because that's what most agents think getting into the business. It's almost like the old adage, build it and they will come, right? The ball fields, right? Field of dreams. However, if you do that, I don't know if everybody knows that within the first 3 years of real estate, 70%, 75% of agents get out of the business.
Really?
Yeah.
So
So why do you think that is? Because first of all, they probably didn't get good guidance from a broker or someone, right, that they were starting with. But they spent too much money. They weren't spending money they weren't making yet. And so general guidelines for a new agent, just so you know, 10% of what you make to marketing.
Oh, interesting.
You want to make it count, right? And in general, like if you have a team or you're doing high production, the more you make, the more you spend, right? It can be up to 25%. But that's usually the highest that they want you to go. And the one thing I want you guys all write down right now, if you're spending money on something, at minimum a 3-to-1 return, ideally a 4-to-1 return. So Raymond, if you start spending $500 a month on Facebook ads, you should be earning $2,000 a month from those ads, okay? How long do we need to try things, especially in marketing, before we find out whether they work or not?
3 months?
6 months.
Hmm.
Minimum of 6 months, and some things do take a year. A lot of agents try things, they stop, they do it for 2 or 3 months and they quit. Try something else for 2 or 3 months and they quit. You've got to have some consistency. People got to get to know what it is that you're doing, right? They start following whatever it is that you're paying for. They're starting to get familiar with who they are. Is trust built overnight? No. And so it takes that 6 months to get that going. So ideally, again, try to get a 4-to-1 return on anything that you spend money on for your business and marketing. Okay. Any questions on that? All right. The next thing that we have here is technology. Well, one great thing is you shouldn't have to spend a lot of money on technology at Better Homes and Gardens, right? You got a lot of it already provided for you. We've got the new Moxie suite coming out. Now, are all the offices, Gary, part of that?
Yes.
Okay, so you all have access to it. And Moxie Works, just so you know, Sarah, is a new productivity hub that we've got. Database, website, everything, right? It's one of the top in the country. And so we are super excited about getting it in place. I'm sure Heather will definitely, yes, say yes on that.
I'm super excited.
And then I want to go back to marketing real quick. Another thing, you shouldn't have to spend as much money on marketing because of the brand that we are with, right? With Better Homes and Gardens, they provide more marketing than any other national franchise out there because that's their company, right? They're a marketing company. They're a media company. We get so much from them that's free to us that we can use for anything. So Raymond, you can take a lot of those things that they provide and use it free of charge, put together social media ads. And then we've got things like Pinpoint. We talked about that a little earlier. We've got Moves, the Moves program. that has different marketing elements that go out and you're on your behalf to clients. So are you taking advantage of the things that we have, right? In your marketing elements? And then we have general and administration. For most of you, is anyone a team right now? Or are you all solo agents? Anybody a team? Not here. Okay, so we're not gonna talk about teams at all then. I will just eliminate that from the top track today. So as a solo agent, most of you are your bookkeeper. Yeah, you do it all, right? Because
Mhm.
probably not to that level. Some of you may have an assistant. So if you have an assistant, some of that money's gonna go under general and administration fees, right? And then last, we're gonna get down into the personal. Why do you think it's important that we include the personal here?
Reality, you're gonna spend the money.
We have to know how much we need to fund our lives, right? Just
Right.
base every single day. And if you don't have a budget right now, this is gonna be the time to put it together, right? So that you know exactly what it is that you need to earn, because I don't want you guys at the end of the day to come up with that number that you wrote down when we first started class today, that it just barely covers your business and personal expenses. We want you to start making enough money that you can start investing in real estate, start doing other things for yourself, right? Do other investments. So any questions on just the budget itself? Good. So the next tab that you see there is the goals. And this is the goals of the solo agent. Scroll back up to the top here. So this particular agent, if you look here, has 3 things they want to achieve this year in life. They want to join a gym. They want to go on a nice vacation. And they want to start putting money aside for college for children, okay? College visits. I want you guys to write down right now 3 things. Be anything. And again, it's gonna be different for everybody, right? 3 things that you want money set aside for this year. Let's just take a couple minutes and do that. So I'd love to hear from a few of you. Would anybody be willing to share one thing they would like to set money aside for this year? Yes, Sarah.
Savings, buy a house and a new car.
Woo.
Nice. We'll start putting some money aside in the savings then.
That's
a
my
new car.
savings
Do you want to buy your new car cash?
Probably not.
Probably not. Okay. Okay. But getting a new car, I'm getting a new car this year too, so that's on my goals.
Yeah,
I'm excited.
I've had mine for a while. It's a great car.
I ended up inheriting my son's car. We're not even gonna go there on that. It's definitely not the car I would have chosen. Right. Under the next tab here, it's called This Year I Want to Earn. So as you can see, you've got your personal total cost. That's the first line there. That's 16,200. Then the personal expenses were 72,000. Business expenses 37,330. And then they would actually like to make $50,000 of profit this year. That's a good thing, right? And so their total is 175,530. Does that sound doable?
Anything's doable.
It is, right? If you have the right mindset, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Now we're getting into the part that everyone groans about. And this is where we've got to know our numbers, okay, guys? Who's been in real estate less than 3 years? I know Rainy. Okay, so a couple of you. For some of you, you may have to use some of the general numbers that are shared, okay? Or you may have to get numbers from your office because you don't have your own numbers to average yet, okay? For those of you that have been in real estate for a while, I'd like you to go back and average 3 years. Because sometimes we have that 1 year that just really hit it out of the ballpark, right? But it's not our average. So if you average 3 years, that gives you a pretty good idea of what it is that you should put here.
Mhm.
And so for this particular agent, their average sales price was 350,000. I'm thinking that's probably half or less, or maybe even less than half of what you guys have as your average sales price here. What's the average price here, Gary?
Well, it
Approximately.
varies from our market to market, but in Sonoma, it's 700,000.
Okay.
And Lake County, it's 250,
Okay,
300.
but I thought right here in Sonoma, yeah, I thought you were probably in that 657 range. That's good. So that is, you don't have to do as many transactions then, right? If you have the same goals as this agent. Then the average commission percentage. And again, this is going to vary depending on the agent. For an experienced agent that's got a good reputation, they can probably go in and charge whatever they want every time they get it, right? Because they've earned it. Newer agents, it's harder to earn, to share what you are worth, right? You don't know what your value is yet. So sometimes it may be a little lower. And I don't know if your market is as competitive, Gary, as my market is that anyone offers over 2.5%. Minnesota, and no one charges, no one offers less than 3%. So again, it goes, changes from market to market, right?
Hmm.
And so individual choice there, but you've got to know what you're averaging because you don't know how much you're going to end up making out of all of this unless you know that, right? Next, we have my commission split percentage. I think we're all pretty fortunate in the fact that none of us are on a 50-50 split. If we are, Gary would definitely.
We just eliminated that.
Hopefully all of you are on a higher split, so put in whatever your split is there, right? And so it all calculated down to the number of transactions that you see for this agent. So this agent needs to have 41 transactions this year to make that $175,000. So questions so far? I know numbers can be a little much for some of us. Are we good? Right. Below, and again, this is where we got to go back and know our business, right? What percentage of your closed transactions, this is asking the desired percentage, needs to be buyers and how much is listings, right? What do you think the optimal is for a good real estate agent? What do you think the optimal split is? Any ideas? Of business between listings and buyers.
70% listing.
60 to 70% listings, 30 to 40% buyers. And why do we say that? Any ideas?
You make, well, you make more money as a listing agent, unless I'm wrong, and then also, if you work with buyers, usually you're on the buyer's time, where a listing agent, it's your time.
Leverage your time a lot more as a listing agent.
Yeah.
What happens if you have listings?
You meet new buyers.
Follow you, right?
Mhm.
We don't have to work hard to get buyers, but we do have to work really hard to get those listings right now. And so keep your focus where it counts, right? And the more experience that you get, the more listings you can focus on, the stronger your business is going to be. Next on the list here is pendings to close rate. And so for this particular agent, they had a pending to close rate for listings of 87.9%. So that means basically about 88% of their listings that they listed actually went to a closing table. There's a fallout for some reason or other. And again, these are, when you see it in red here, these are Realogy averages across all Realogy brands. So this is a pretty good representation of our market, right? It's almost 20% of the agents in the country. So it gives us some pretty good numbers. And then for buyer, it was 89%. So they're pretty consistent. So pending sales needed on the next line, 24 listings, 14 buyers. The next line is active clients to pending rate. And that's 80% listings, 80% buyers. And then the last number in red, there's appointment to listings taken or buyer clients. So 85%. This is an experienced agent, right? They go in and 85% of those appointments, they actually get a listing, okay? And for buyers, they get 83% of the buyers. Why is that with buyers? Why do you think they'll lower with buyers?
Because they have an established relationship.
Yeah, a lot of people don't put together buyer agency agreements, right? The old adage, buyers are liars, right? We've all heard that, right? Do you agree with that?
No.
There are elements of truth.
There are elements, I agree, there are elements, but most of the time it's because we don't do our job correctly. We don't do a good enough needs analysis with our buyers to truly understand what it is they're looking for. And sometimes, honestly, the buyers don't even know until they actually are starting to actively look in the market. I can even say I've been guilty of that. You move to a location, you've got an ideal home in mind, right? And then all of a sudden you realize, oh, that ideal home does not exist in this market. So I have to change what it is I'm looking for. And so it changes all the time. As we scroll down the sheet here, at bottom here, we talk about average number of appointments needed to result in one closed transaction. So theirs is 1.4 appointments needed to result in one closed transaction. So we never round down, right? So we always round up. So for this particular agent, it's going to be 2. Okay, we round up, it's going to be 2. Total number of appointments needed then are 58 appointments. This is a year. Remember, these are annual. Okay. Number of working weeks per year, 48. Does anyone work 52 weeks a year? No. So whatever, however many weeks you typically would take off a year, put that weekly number in, okay? And the number of appointments you need each week for this agent is only 2. It's not that much, is it? Average number of prospecting contacts. So this is the one I think this agent can work on a little bit more. They have 30 prospecting contacts to get 1 new appointment. So that tells me maybe they're not so good at converting initially, right? They've got to make a lot of contacts to get 1 person working with them consistently, right? Right now in this market, what do you guys see? I'm curious. Are you working with at least 30 prospects before you get one to work with you? Or are your rates better than that?
I'm working with a lot of existing clients, repeat business, so it's different.
Seriously, probably 2 or 3 to 1, right?
Pardon?
Yeah. So it really depends on what your business is. If you work with a lot of buyers, you're probably gonna see numbers like that, right?
Yeah,
It's really tough right now to get a buyer to consistently work with you right now. Just because what they're being told out in the real world, right, is that they should never work with one agent. You should just talk to every agent around there, work with a listing agent. What is being shared with people out there is terrible. It's not in their best interest. So we want to be the ones to share that with our buyers and sellers, right?
I don't necessarily agree with you on that.
Okay, go ahead.
So I've got a couple that I'm working with, and they did a lot of research before they selected me to work with them, but they've been very loyal, and we've all been going through this education as this market continues to change and their situation changes. And what it does is it's binding them closer to me rather than have them go, oh, let's go out and find somebody else. But
You had a different experience then.
yeah.
That's good. And I have had an agent that I know in St. Louis that also had an experience similar to what you're just talking about. As you become more successful in real estate, sometimes other agents aren't necessarily as pleasant, right, about you. And 2 different agents in the market came up to one of his buyers and told him, why on earth would you work with this agent? Knew that he was working with this person to start with. Is really bizarre.
It's
But
interesting.
the client, same as yours, was like, he's been amazing to work with, and they're unethical. I mean, they were smart buyers, right? I mean, they had researched what they needed to do.
Yeah.
Most don't go to that level.
Yeah,
But I will say this, we do have more savvy clients than we've ever had, just because if they want the information, it is out there to research, but they don't always necessarily do that, right? This particular agent, the general daily contact goal, so they have to make 8 contacts a day, which really isn't that bad. I always used to have a goal of 10 a day. So if they only have to contact 8 a day, that's pretty good to hit their goal of 41 transactions a year. Then as we scroll down, it goes through the sources. So this particular agent had 4 sources that were a majority of their business. Sphere of influence, for sale by owners, expireds, and open houses. And I was joking earlier that I would probably be banging my head against the wall if this percentage of my business was for sale by owners versus sphere of influence. Hopefully most of you, if you've been in real estate for a while, almost everybody that I've talked to when I have classes, about 70% plus of their business is from their sphere of influence. If you've been in real estate longer than 5 years, just because it takes a while to get that, gain that confidence, right? Gain that trust, build your database. For this particular agent though, where their strength has been is under for sale by owners. Conversion rate of 66% for sale by owner, and only 16% for sphere of influence. So a funny comment was made earlier of, why on earth could they actually get for sale by owners to work with them, but not their own friends? I'm not sure if I love the examples they used here, but you get the general gist of why we're doing it, right? And then they have expires and open houses. So for all of you, what I want to find out is, do you know where your business is coming from right now? Are you tracking every lead that comes in, first of all, and asking where they found you? If you don't know who they are when they call you, right?
We
You
have
do
a
it.
system that does it, it's wonderful.
Oh, what system is that?
It's called Knock.
Oh, I heard of that.
It's really cool.
Okay. There we go, Heather, another
Yeah.
Another one, we're getting all kinds of great tech
Oh, it's
things today.
fantastic. They record the call so you can listen
Okay,
to listen to yourself and go,
Right.
oh, that sounded good. That's
nice,
so good.
nice, awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. But we've got to track our sources so that we know, especially like for our marketing dollars, what's working and what's not working. If
Yeah.
I'm spending money on newspaper ads or internet leads, I have to know at least, am I getting any results from this, right?
Mhm.
So for every closing that you have, you need to have a spreadsheet of some type. Put it in your CRM, but be able to track, is it my sphere of influence? Is it from a Facebook ad? Is it from an open house? Where are your leads coming from? And then that's how you're gonna source what it's showing on this worksheet, okay? And you just break it down that way. So what it's gonna ask you to do is, it's gonna take a full day to go back and research this. You're gonna need to go back and look at all your business, and I would probably, again, go back 2 or 3 years so that you have a good average of where's the majority of your business coming from.
Mhm.
And that way you can plug these numbers in.
I was just going through that and I'm surprised. I thought it was more in certain areas
Uh-huh.
and, so
It's different than you thought it
it
was
is
then.
really, yeah, it's really interesting to do.
Mhm.
And I feel like it gives you a really good idea. Yeah, how much should I focus on each?
Mhm.
If you did get a lot more than you thought from open houses or
Right.
from whatever,
Mhm.
maybe you spend more.
Continue
time
doing what works well, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And we'll talk a little bit more about that later in the class today, as far as doing things that come naturally to you, right? Any questions on this so far? How are we doing? Okay. All right. So the next tab that we're gonna go through is we have a years 3 and 5. And this, there's not much to this. It's very, very, very easy. Scroll to the top here. All you're going to do is you're just giving yourself a vision for where you want your business to be in 3 years and where you want your business to be in 5 years. And it's basically, how much money do I want to make in 3 years? How much money do I want to make in 5 years? Because you want to have something that you're setting yourself up for, right?
Mhm.
Anybody have an idea of what they'd like to see their business look like in 5 years? Anybody have a big vision?
Yes,
Raymond,
I want to make,
$1 billion realtor in 5 years. You got your work cut out for you here, Gary.
Raymond's
Okay,
the man
Raymond?
to do it.
If you've got the desire, then I will say this, if you've got that burning desire, that fire inside of you, you can do anything you want to do, okay? Absolutely, without a doubt. All that this is, and then the next thing, this is where earlier today, it's overwhelmed a few people. But again, it's knowing our numbers, knowing our business. Here, we're actually breaking it down by month. What % of our business do we get in January? What % of our business closed last year in February? What % closed in March, all the way down?
Really interesting.
It's awesome. And everything, once you put in a couple numbers, everything auto calculates for you, which is awesome, which is great, right? If you're new in the business, Raymond, have Gary, have Heather pull office numbers. So at least you can see when the majority of business happens here. If it's pretty even every month, or if you've got a season that's really strong, right? So that you know where you can have to put your focus and you know where you should really be making the money. The next thing I want you to talk about is, how often should we be looking at this? Today.
Weekly, well, daily,
I'm gonna tell you one thing. I wouldn't do it daily.
probably weekly. If I think about my budget for my properties, it's like we do bills once a week.
If
Let's
you're,
go see what's going on in there.
if you're very analytical, once a week is okay.
Or when you have, it depends on, who
And
you're
property
looking
management
for.
is a
Yeah,
different animal altogether, right?
different owners.
But at minimum, I would recommend that you guys look at this once a month. Why would you want to look at this at least once a month?
Make sure you're on the path that
Right.
you want to be on.
So Sarah, what happens if I don't look at it until June and it's June 30th and I'm like, wow, I wanted to make $100,000 this year and so far I've only made 20,000.
You gotta, I work with a life coach recently. It's the best thing I've ever done. And, it's every day you're looking at your goals,
Mhm.
short-term, long-term, and, reminding yourself, they're powerful. You can do it, whatever they are. That's one of mine.
But what do most agents, and Gary can probably answer this, so can Heather, in your experience, if an agent's over halfway through the year and they're not even on track to hit their goals, what do they normally do?
Give up.
They lower their goals. They lower
Is that recommended?
Oh, no.
No, it is not recommended.
It's recommended to look every month.
Time to kick into gear.
And when we go back to like your mission and vision, why you're doing real estate, this is what I talked about earlier today, is that why am I getting up every morning? Why am I passionate about going out and doing what I do every day? And who are you doing it for? Is it for yourself? Is it for your family, a spouse, children, grandkids? For that vacation home you want to buy someday? You've got to have that big why that motivates you, right? Because if you look at your numbers every month, that's going to keep you on track. For the ones that look at it at the end of June, who are they letting down?
Themselves.
Themselves, but who else?
Their wives. Go to the wives.
Everybody else around them, right?
The kids that wanted the vacation.
Right. You've got crying children because you can't go this year because we didn't make what money we wanted to make, right? And so it truly does affect. And we even talked earlier, one of the agents even brought up, it affects the broker.
Yeah.
Brokers even have certain expectations of agents because they turn their goals in, right? And so it literally affects everybody around you, including yourself. And what does it do for your self-esteem?
Down.
Really down, right? And so try to stay on track. I recommended earlier, and this isn't in the course, this is just me talking, that at minimum, you guys get an accountability partner. And why would that be helpful, do you think? Why is an accountability partner at minimum helpful?
Better make sure you're checking that budget. Once a month.
But what about if you're talking every Friday?
She makes sure I stay on track.
Absolutely, right? Make sure you're doing what you need to do. You are 99% more likely to get something done if you have to tell somebody.
You're right.
We are human, right? We have a real hard time holding our own selves accountable. It just doesn't work very well.
Yeah.
I was telling Heather earlier, I paid $1,000 a month for a coach for 12 years. So do you think that I was accountable to what I was supposed to be doing? Oh, you bet.
They'll hold you.
They do.
It's
And
more of yourself though, like you were saying, because you don't want to show up and be ready.
Be present, right?
Yeah, you
Absolutely.
don't wanna go, well, I didn't really do that.
Well, and I had a coach that gave me tough love. So I showed up for one of my meetings and I hadn't done my activity sheet that I had to turn in. And he's like, well, Sandy, I'm so sorry you didn't turn on your activity sheet. I'll see you next week. And I'm like, what? That was a $250 session that I didn't get to have, right? I did that only twice out of 12 years. It's an expensive lesson to learn. But you don't always have to have money in the game, right? You just need someone that you have to share that information with. And the only other thing I'm going to share with you is it can't be your spouse or a partner. Why? Why do you think that that's not a good idea?
You don't want them nagging you when you're about to go to sleep.
Now, that's usually not what I hear, so maybe your spouse or partner would be good. I don't know.
Tell you it's okay.
They do. They always are like,
Tomorrow.
yeah, it's okay, honey. You can do it tomorrow. It'll be fine. Just catch up next week, right? Then we end up the 2 or 3 months down the line where we're not getting anything accomplished. Okay. And the very last thing we're getting into is 168 hours tab. So everybody go to the 168 hour tab that has computer. Scroll back up to the top. I do too.
I like all of it. It's lots of good info, but
And so obviously for information purposes, they made this one easy for this agent. They put 2 hours for absolutely everything. Not gonna be your life probably. So we're looking at this and this agent spends 2 hours on everything. And I already showed you the bottom there. So when I first looked at this, I thought they were probably working 160 hours a week. But it's really only when it's broken down, it's 42 hours a week, basically, right? That's probably actually low even for some realtors, right? I know I probably averaged more like 55 to 60 hours when I was selling real estate. And so what is your number right now? Do you track it? So one of the things that we're gonna have all of you do, Heather's got a couple people working on this already in the other office. I want you guys for 5 days to use something. And what was the name of that activity tracker that she mentioned earlier? Do you remember?
I wrote it down.
Okay.
It's like 12 hours or something.
I think it's called Hours. I think you're right.
Hours.
Hours, Hours, but it allows you to track, it's an app. It allows you to track what you do. Put a timer on it, and when it's done, it tells you how much time you spent doing it. But I want you to do that for 5 days. All day from when you get to the office until you leave, or just, most of you are probably working at home still, I assume. Just track how much time you're spending on lead gen, how much time you're spending on working with clients for 5 days.
Hmm.
And you guys are having a meeting, I hear, a week from Friday. So Heather's gonna be asking some of you, what ahas did you have by tracking this for 5 days, right? I think you're gonna be shocked at how you spend your time, okay? I did this with agents in my office a couple of different times, and it was eye-opening. We waste so much more time than we realize. We really do. We see a squirrel, right? That's what we used to always use. In fact, my husband's famous for that. We used to have an assistant, she had squirrels all over his office one time just because he was so famous for going off on different tangents all the time.
Well, so many people are working from home more and more
We
and
have,
more.
we have different things pulling us from what we're doing,
I
right?
should change the laundry and I should,
Yeah.
Oh, I'll take the dog for a walk for an hour, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's really easy to get off task. So please do that for, I don't care, sometime between now and next Friday, do that for 5 business days. And really take a deep look at what it is that you're doing to be productive, okay? So in this
Good advice. Yeah.
question.
I was just talking to myself. Let me turn that off.
As we go to the bottom of this, the other thing they do was personal time. And I'm a little bit passionate on the personal side, just because I've been in your shoes. I run a business, I had kids, I was divorced, I did it all for a while, right? And it's very easy to neglect everybody around you in this business. And not even purposely, right? It just happens sometimes. So we have to be purposeful about how we spend our time, especially our personal time. So I always encourage all of you, block your personal time first before you do anything else on your calendar. Make sure you've got the most important things for you on the calendar first. I was sharing that I used to do a date night on Wednesday nights with my kids. I would alternate. So my son one week, my daughter the next week, and that just became kind of our night, right? And they got to pick whatever we did. But it was special for them because I traveled a lot. I was gone a lot during the week, between selling. Heather is in my shoes. I was, working as an administrator and selling real estate. It gets really busy, right? And so blocking this time is so essential to everything. We want to have balance in our life, right? We don't want to be doing this 99% of the time. So here this agent sleeps 7 hours a day. Some of you may sleep longer. Some of you, I don't know when I slept 7 hours last. Meal time, 3 hours. So an hour a meal. Now, probably a lot of you are like me and you sit through lunch and you work and you eat a sandwich or something and you're heat up your lean cuisine and keep working, right? At least try and get up and walk around the house or do something for a little bit, right? Then we have personal grooming time, community involvement time. So maybe some of you are involved in something in your community, right? Maybe you volunteer for an organization. Add that time in. Fitness activity time, spiritual meditative time. There's your family time. And then the last thing they say is me time. What's different about me time and family time?
You're alone.
You're doing something for you, right? And that's probably one of the things we neglect, honestly, the most of anything. Because we know we have to spend time with family, right? Or at least we try to. But for ourselves, do you take that time? Do you go get a massage every once in a while? Do you go out and have a glass of wine with a friend? Do something, right, that makes you feel good. Do you give yourselves little prizes? Like if you hit a goal, you do something you were really wanting to do. You reward yourself for it. So think about that as well. So it's not all business, right? It's a combination to get that balance. And that is the end of the 168. Does anyone know what the 168 is? I didn't even ask that. I forgot to ask that at the beginning. There are 168 hours a week. And we don't want to schedule every single one of those hours, right? So carve some time out for yourself. Okay? So questions on anything that we've gone through, the 168 hours, the budget itself. Is it pretty clear for most of you using your workbooks? Okay. If you have any problems going through anything, please don't hesitate. You can either reach out to me. I'm sure Heather can help you. Gary can probably help you. You've got a lot of resources. We're gonna switch back out of this. And go back.
Definitely recommend just actually sitting down and taking the time with this. It's really, can be very enlightening.
Oh,
It can really open your eyes to.
And the other thing I want to recommend is that if you don't know your numbers well, your admin can run reports for your business if you've been doing this for a while. So if you don't know what months most of your production's in, when you have your closings, how many closings you had, they can run that report for you for the last couple of years, okay? So you can see what you've done. We've gone through this. So the last thing, well, not the last thing, but getting to the end of this. As far as how do we achieve the plan, right? We put the plan together, but how do we actually get to the end result? And so the first thing is being accountable. Second is practicing the art of self-forgiveness, following your path of least resistance, focusing on the money makers. And we're going to talk about what money makers are so that you understand that. And then how to allocate your time wisely. So being accountable. We don't probably need to go into this in much more detail than what we discussed earlier. I jump ahead sometimes. So we talked a lot about accountability, right? So is anyone going to get an accountability partner or find somebody that can help you out? Maybe.
I have a life coach.
You're a life coach.
I know, I have a
You have
life
a,
coach.
that's- I was gonna say, I thought you said you had a life coach.
Yes.
That's cool if you are going to.
No,
But find that person that can keep you motivated, okay? Whether you have a mentor at the office, whether it's another agent. Find someone just to help get you on track once you get this done. And I don't know, Heather, if you're gonna set like a date where you'd like to have everybody have their business plans done,
Yeah, that would be a good thing.
because what happens if we keep procrastinating? It's never gonna get done, right? And then again, you're not gonna know where you're going with it.
Almost the end of January.
Practicing the art of self-forgiveness. Does anybody know what that really means? Any ideas? Just take a guess.
don't beat yourself up. Learn from your mistakes.
Absolutely,
Be
absolutely.
gentle with yourself. You're learning.
You are, you are. Absolutely. We learn every day, right? And we have to fail forward is the way that it works, right? No one successful has ever made it right every step of the way. They have failed over and over and over again, right? And so don't be so hard on yourself. Most of the time, we are our own worst enemy, right? We beat
Oh,
ourselves
yeah.
up. And then following your path of least resistance. What this just really means is, what are the things that you do well? Continue to do those at a high level. And if some of you hire a coach and they tell you to do something completely different and get away from the things that you're doing well, fire them, don't use them.
Yeah.
Seriously. You need to continue having that as your basis for your business. But does it mean we're not going to grow and add different elements? No. We can learn how to work with for sale by owners. We can learn how to work expireds, right? But if you've got something else that you're really good at, keep that as your base business, right? And just build on that. What should the basis of most of your businesses be? Sphere of influence, absolutely. Because it's the easiest money we can ever make. But the problem is we don't train our sphere of influence.
Are you saying spear or spirit?
Sphere.
Spear, okay.
Sphere of
I'm new.
influence. No, it's
I'm
okay.
like, well, I gotta make sure I understand what you're saying.
No. It's the people that know you, love you, trust you, will work with you and recommend you over and over and over again. But we don't train them how to do it. We don't help them out to help us, right?
What is circle prospecting?
Circle prospecting. So that is when you have a new listing. So you have 123 Main Street and you prospect the properties around that listing for other business. Maybe you're gonna have an open house or you just listed, just sold, and you can market to that consistently. Especially if you guys have like a farming area. It's very effective for that because they keep saying your name over and over and over again. And one thing I've seen over the last year is that just listed and just sold postcards have been skyrocketing again. Because people are home, we're actually looking at that stuff now. It doesn't just get thrown away. And so you might consider,
Skyrocketing in what way?
I'm sorry,
Skyrocketing in what way?
being used a lot more now.
And do you, have they tracked like how effective it is? Has
Report
that
one.
gone up?
Yeah.
What's the-
What we're seeing is that, again, if you're using it in an area that you consistently farm, that they're continuing to get referral business from that. And a lot of agents are like, well, things sell so fast. Why would I even waste my money on a postcard, right?
Mhm.
Why are we doing it?
Get listings.
To get listings. and just keep our name in front of them, right? If they see that we are successful selling in that area and they get a postcard every month from us that we just sold another one, do you think they might have a little more confidence in working with you? Absolutely. Any other questions on this? Again, it's just kind of knowing where your strengths are in your business and what it is that you like to work with, right? And then the money makers. So obviously we know lead generation is a moneymaker for our business, right? Working with buyers, working with sellers, listing presentations. What are other money makers in our business? Any ideas?
Referrals.
Referrals. And I'm glad you brought that up because I forgot to talk about that earlier today. That is the most underutilized money that we can make. Again, we don't train our family and friends that we can help them in other areas, right? We never even share that information with them because we don't want to bother our family and friends. I want you guys to all think differently, okay? You're coming like from that contribution standpoint. You're helping them. You're also going to find somebody that will work with them versus letting them go eeny, meeny, miny, mo, and just picking somebody out of the phone book, right? To start working with. So utilize that referral business. What are other money makers?
I wonder if anybody's doing online, like sells services online. I don't do a lot of online stuff, but are any agents making money on coaching in real estate or something online? Like that's
Some
a-
of them do, some do. Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of our experienced agents, a lot of the big teams definitely are out there online doing, like, they're even doing group coaching and things like that.
Like
But I'm-
selling some product.
Yeah, they could be selling products like for sale by owner kits. I mean, they come up with everything, right? I want how to work something better. But it could also be like open houses, right? It could be networking groups. Money makers are things where you're actually gonna talk to somebody about real estate, okay? So whatever that might be for you. What do you do on a regular basis? I'm curious. How do you meet people?
Right now, I'm doing floor time.
Floor time, okay? And that can be a moneymaker, right? Because you might get a hot buyer that walks in the door, right? You never know. Do you guys get a lot of walk-in business here? I'm curious.
You have to go outside and give the other information.
So you actually have to be a little more aggressive, right?
Yeah, COVID is kind of.
That's kind of nipped that in the tail a little bit, huh?
Walking in the
I'm
office.
sure. I have to say, there's a lot of people out today, though. It's busy here today, right? I think it's gonna start coming back slowly but surely. Just maybe with a mask, right? They may not recognize you the next time they see you, but
No, they seems to like my.
They like that,
the-
yes.
The thing, the hair, or
so you have the general idea then what money makers are, right? And then the last thing, and this is our fun part of class, it's ordering our priorities. So this is what's a moneymaker, right? Number one, what is it that's directly related to finding new clients? So you're gonna rate what the activity is when we go through them. Number two is activities directly related to closing sales. And then three are administrative activities that allow you to do number one and two. And Heather, do you know what page that's on in your workbook?
Oh, good
I
idea.
don't have it in front of me.
And this is how we should prioritize the things we need to do.
Yes, for
right?
those of you at home, we're giving you the page in your workbook so that you can find this. I know you can't see the screen so well.
You actually can't see it at all, but
After allocating your, oh no, maybe it's not. Focus on the money.
It should be right after page 29. This is 29, focus on the money makers.
oh, after 29,
29. I wonder if it's not in the workbook anymore. Did they take it
I
out?
don't think it is. 'cause
Okay.
after that's the
just allocate your time wisely.
All right, well, you guys can just guess then. Okay, I'll read them and you guys just tell me whether you think. it's
Perfect.
Directly related, number one, activity. Number two is related to closing sales. And three is admin. So lead gen, what do you think lead gen is? One, helps you find new clients, right?
Mhm.
Oops, I went ahead. Sorry, I gave you that one. Admin is admin, though. That's easy, right? Working on business. What do you think working on business is?
Number one.
Number one.
That could be anything, right? Working on business could be anything you're doing. Doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be an activity that's actually directly related, right? How about listing prep and presentations? Two. Buyer consults. One, finding new clients, sorry. Mark, communicating listings. touring, servicing, negotiating contracts, inspections,
Mhm. Hmm.
maintaining pendings. It's a 2. Closings. 2. And client for life. So this is putting people on like follow-up plans after closing. 3.
Oh, great.
I'm gonna send out, for those of you at home, I am gonna send the slide deck out to all of you, so you'll get all of the
Thank
copies of everything that we've gone through, okay?
Thanks.
Mhm. And then the allocating your time wisely, we don't have to really go through this in a lot more depth because we've already talked about it, I think. So we're in the face with this, right? But this is what you're gonna use when you go through and track your days, okay? This is, you can either print this page out of your workbook, or you can use that little app we told you about, right? For the hours to track your time. And the thing to think about, you don't have to fill out every single one of these columns if you don't want to. I truly just want to know where you're spending your time. Is it a money-making activity or not? And if it's not a money-making activity, is it something someone else could do for you eventually? You may not be in a position to hire somebody to do things right now, right? But is that something that eventually you might be able to hand off to somebody else? Heather did share that you guys have a transaction coordinator in your office. So right away, if you're not great with paperwork, that could help you a lot, right?
Mhm.
And then the 168 hours in a week we've gone through. So this quote, if it doesn't add to your life, it doesn't belong in your life. Think about that for a minute. What do you think that means?
Focus on things that bring you joy and success.
Mhm,
Surround yourself with people with the same mission
mhm.
on the same journey.
I always like to say, surround yourself with people that are doing better than you, right?
Yep.
Because you learn a lot from them. There's a saying out there that you are the sum of the 5 people you hang out with the most.
Oh, that's interesting.
So think about, who do you hang out with all the time? Are they people that lift you up and help you grow? Or are they going nowhere and you're going nowhere with them?
Hmm.
Okay. Does it mean we're gonna give up every friend we have? No, definitely not, right? But there may be those in your life that are Debbie Downers that you may not want to spend as much time with, right?
Mhm.
You need people that lift you up, motivate you, right? So reality. I was telling Heather earlier for this page, this is in your workbook on page
33?
33. Most of you have not done your business plan yet, so you can't even effectively answer this yet, right? But after you go through and do your business plan, I want you to go through on a scale of 1 to 5 and rate yourself on these.
Hmm.
1 meaning I suck at it, I don't get it, I don't understand it, and a 5 being you're a rock star. And it goes through everything from I'm ready to get down to business. That's probably the only one you can answer right now, right? I'm ready to get down to business and start hitting these goals I plan out. So go through those at home. And then I just wanted to go through a few more things on time blocking because I think this is so important. Is find out when you're starting to track your time over the next 5 days, whenever you do this, right? How long do you spend on average with every person you talk to? That's going to tell you how much time you need for your lead gen time, or if you maybe even need to shorten the time that you're spending on some of those calls, right? And try to keep your calls business focused when it's in lead gen mode.
Hmm.
We had a discussion earlier about how do you cut people off if it's a friend, right? Because a lot of our business is sphere of influence. So those are people that know us. They want to talk about family, things going on. How do you avoid that, or how can you push that off till a different time?
You tell them at the beginning of the call, I have 5 minutes or.
Right. I know, I said I used to say it's a business call. Some people don't like that mode because it sounds too formal, right? But just say, oh, I just wanted to reach out, right? It's just a touch base, right? And if they start going in about something, say, oh, yeah, I'd love to catch up more on that. Can I call you after work today, right? So try to find that time later if you're wanting to have a, hour-long conversation on something. You might call somebody you haven't talked to for a while. There may be something really bad going on in their lives, or something that they're really excited about that they want to share with you. But that may not be their time to do it, right? If you're trying to make 10 calls in an hour or 20 calls in 2 hours, whatever that might be. Prioritize your energy. Now you have a life coach, so I know you've got to know what that means. What does that mean? Prioritizing your energy.
prioritizing my energy, so I have a blocks of time that I'm scheduled to do certain things. And I have them written down, and they're also in my phone, so a timer goes off.
And to deepen that a little bit, we want to do the activities that require the most thinking or us to be the most outgoing earlier in the day. That's why they always kind of old rule of thumb, legion between 9 and 11, right? Because that's when we have the most energy. That's when we have the most action. We're most action oriented in the morning. We wait and do our legion calls from 4 to 5 in the afternoon. We might get a few more people sometimes, right? But is it necessarily going to be the best time of day where we have that energy? Probably not.
And for the clients too.
And for the clients too, you're right. They may not be as receptive to your call, right?
Yeah, get them in the
Yeah.
morning.
Then plan to meet your goals. And so time blocking is going to be essential. Especially for you starting, if you can start incorporating that right now, you'll be that millionaire real estate agent in 5 years. And then the last thing, write it down. If it's not on your calendar, it doesn't exist, okay? Don't allow all those little dot-a-minute things get in the way of your success. And this is just the last reminder to take time for you. I know, guys, it's all pictures of girls, my apologies, but just remember to take time for yourself. That's what's most important, because if you can take time for you, feel good about yourself, you're gonna feel better about what you do every day, right? So the last thing here, just, you can say yes, no, or just write it down. I think like an entrepreneur who runs a business. My business planner is to be used year after year, or to assess my business as it changes. And Heather, your mission statement earlier is a good idea. Why we even look at those every year, right? Because we're going to consistently upgrade that type of thing all the time. Do you have a 1 year, 3 year, and 5 year plan? And then last, your 168 hours a week are precious. Do you make the most of the time that you have, right? And you're going to know that after you go through and calendar for 5 days on what it is that you're doing. I think it's going to be, I'm so excited to hear from you after you guys have your meeting. I told Heather, I said, you have to send out that reminder so that everyone remembers to do it and that they're going to bring it to the meeting, right? So that everybody knows what they're doing. That is everything that I had to go through today. Do you guys have any questions on anything? Comments?
I have a question.
Yes.
Is this available in a Excel spreadsheet format whereby the numbers can be put in?
That is an Excel spreadsheet. It is.
Yeah.
So what you printed out there is an Excel.
Heather's sent out that link to those
Yeah.
materials, so
Yeah.
she'll send it out again.
Okay.
Yeah.
Look for your email.
But absolutely.
Heather.
Just Heather. Yeah.
Okay.
Other questions? All right. How about 3 takeaways from today, then, and we'll end. I promise I'll let you out. Did you learn anything different today? I have to ask you, Raymond, since you're new into business, what was your biggest takeaway?
Notes down here. The 4 to 1 ratio, I think, is a pretty big deal.
Okay.
Yeah, I like that too.
Yeah, yeah, that's pretty big information.
4 to 1 ratio for those of you online.
Yeah. Another one is doing like the spreadsheet of each close and looking at where majority of like the business comes every month. That's another big one. I didn't even think about that at all. And even when you're talking about it, I was like, oh, that's probably something I have to look at like quarterly.
Right.
Then you were like once a month. I was
Right.
like, okay, that makes sense. And
Keep
then-
yourself on track, right? Yeah.
and then just having a plan generally, speaking of what you do day to day, I have one. I haven't been like drilling it yet. I'm kind of just figuring out how to start just jumping into that. So I mean, this really made me decide on jumping into that starting next week.
Good.
So starting Sunday.
Awesome.
Having that. And then the whole finances wise is something big. I used to do it before, like I wanted to save up for the car I have right now.
Right.
I mean, I was cutting meat, so I didn't make a whole lot of money. I mean, I made like I think 16 an hour at that time. So I had to budget every single thing I did.
Right.
I was pretty intense about it. To the point where like I'm like so cheap now. If somebody asks me, do you want a bag for 10 cents? I say no. 10 bags $1. I'm like,
What a waste of money, right?
Yeah.
10 cents.
Yeah, so I kind of do that still right now. But, so it made me think about that again, because once I bought the car, I kind of was like, well, now I have nothing to save my money for, so I've kind of just been blowing it off like all last year summer. I mean, I just got my license in late October,
Oh, okay.
but still, I kind of fell off track once I didn't think like, well, I have no reason to save my money really, so I'll just blow it off, who cares, it's somewhere over
Right.
there. Yeah, so.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned that, Raymond, because it seems like for a lot of people, the more money they make, the less they look at what they're actually spending, which is very careless, right?
Yeah,
So
there.
it's a good reminder to kind of bring us back to the basics, right? Anybody else? Any other takeaways?
To me, a lot of reminder of what I'm struggling with, which is habits.
Okay.
That because that's what is a lot that we have to
Consistency, right?
consistency and work with as a self person and into that with like a reminder,
Mhm.
reminder of be able to create habits.
Right, right.
And so that will allow us to do what we want to accomplish.
Very good. All right. Gary, anything from you before we end? You good?
No,
All right.
thank you, Sandy.
All right, guys, thank you
Great.
so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Boring to see everyone's tracking.
I know.
Interesting. Yeah. That's a